News. Charlie McGrath, thank you very much indeed for joining us now on the programme. So the authorities have promised to reopen the banks on Thursday. Do you think Cypriots can sigh with relief now?
No, not at all. And let's examine the word reopen a little bit, Julia, because they're not really reopening. They're putting all these capital restrictions on the people of Cyprus. 300 euros is the max withdrawal they can make. They can only take 3,000 maximum out if they're going to travel. If you live in Cyprus and you have relatives that live in the United States or the UK or wherever, and you want to send them money, you absolutely cannot. So, the so-called establishment media is talking about there's been enough time that has passed with the announcement of this deal that they don't think they're going to have a bank run. But the real reason they don't think they're going to have a bank run is because they're not really opening the banks. They're going to have all kinds of guards and police and very limited funds that the people of Cyprus can take. So I don't think they should be relieved at all, nor should Europe or the rest of the world for that matter.
At this point, how do you convince panicked savers across Europe that the EU won't dig into their accounts next?
How do you convince them?
Yes.
You do not. Listen, if you're in Europe and you're hearing this broadcast, you know what? If you can go to your bank and take your money out and you don't, then you better be ready for what's coming. I mean, they've made the announcement they're going to go after savers in order to save these banks. There's no other way to describe it. Joran Dijsselbloem, the president of the European Stability Mechanism Board of Governors, even though he retracted the statement, he said 2 days ago that this is going to be the model going forward. There should be no doubt in anybody's mind in Europe, or Russia for that matter, that they're going to come after this money, period.
Talking about Cyprus again, we know the capital control will impose a 300 euro withdrawal limit to prevent anyone fleeing with the savings. Meanwhile, reports say the money keeps flowing out of Cyprus despite any restrictions. Why aren't any measures working there?
Well, I think they are working. The banks are closed and they haven't had bank runs yet. I think the 300 euro measure is there in order to keep the people from taking the actual citizenry of Cyprus from taking all their money out. But it is going to be a mess. It's a mess now, and when they open up tomorrow, I predict there's going to be a lot of people that are really, really ticked off. We already see people in the streets protesting, and this is the kind of thing where you could certainly see violence ensue because it's the people's money. It's their assets that are just being robbed from them. I know $100,000 or 100,000 euros, 85,000 pounds sounds like a lot of money, but you know what? It really isn't. That's not a ton of money. And if you're sitting and you happen to have your money in the second largest bank, Lucky Bank, you just got thrown into a bad bank category. So it's a horrifying situation, but we should understand this is the model going forward. It isn't going to stop with Cyprus. This isn't fixing anything inside the EU.
Yeah, and also there's been a lot of criticism of how the EU tackled the Cypriot crisis. Will its reputation ever be restored from your point of view?
I don't think they care, Julia. I really don't. I mean, the European Stability Mechanism was set up. A lot of people, myself included, were talking about it almost 2 years ago, that it is financial governance over Europe. I don't think they care what the citizens of Europe, the 500 million people of the European continent, feel about how this crisis or these crises are being handled. It is governed by crisis to the extreme. They were polite and said, we're going to indebt you early on in this crisis 4 or 5 years ago. Now they're making a very bold statement. They're not asking anymore. They're just going to take it.
Yeah, you just mentioned a while ago that there's obviously massive public discontent with people marching on the streets of Cyprus in protest. What can this lead to?
Well, if someone's trying to rob you, then it would make sense that it could certainly lead to violence. I mean, that is the ultimate outcome. If somebody is trying to get access what is theirs, their money so they can put food on their table, and they're being told, no, you can only take out 300 at a time, or you can't transfer it around to your friends or family around the world. If you go on vacation, you can only take $3,000. I could certainly see intempers flare. There's a reason why G4S, the world's largest security corporation, is ramping up service in Cyprus. There's a reason why the police are going to be at these banks tomorrow. It's because people are going to be ticked.
All right. Charlie McGrath, founder of Wide Awake News, a current affairs website focusing on economic and political news. Charlie, many thanks indeed.
Thanks, Julia.